Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's SIG Autoscaling weekly meeting. Today's June 16th. We abide by the CNCF Code of Conduct as part of the Kubernetes project, and we ask that everyone be kind to one another and respectful. And without further ado, let me see if I can quickly pull up the doc and share the agenda.
I know it's way too early for you to be dealing with this stuff, Jack.
Oh, good. Oh, we can do it. We can do it. We can do it. All right. So, I've got a couple things I can announce, but let's get right to the agenda since folks have been waiting. Jam, Franck, are you online?
I am. Hello.
Okay, hello. Floor is yours.
I'm trying to push this CAP update so that the configurable tolerance feature is promoted to beta in 1.34. I got the PRR bit flipped, which I suppose is the most difficult to get. And I am now wondering, I know that Ray LGTM did as well, but since I pushed a new submit, I think I lost the LGTM bit. But anyway, I think somebody else should approve this, probably who would be the usual suspect, Guy, I suppose. I can ping Guy so that I get this approved.
Okay, great. I could probably help you out with that as well.
Yeah.
I'll sync
Okay.
up with Ray today and confirm it, and I'll defer to him. Looks like you've got lots of review comments here, and if he's good to go, then I can provide one more SIG Autoscaling +1.
Wonderful. I suspect Ray is out of the office this month. He left Google just a few weeks ago. He will start a new job in a few weeks. And I think in between, he told me he would take some time off. So it may be difficult to get hold on. But let's try. But thank you.
I'll do my best.
Thank you much.
Yep, sure thing. Okay, and
the
thank you
deadline
for
is
that.
end of the week, I think, by the way.
Thank you for that, Cap. Okay, Newfied. We have Newfied online.
Hemant, I knew you're here somewhere. You're muted somehow, Hemant.
Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you now.
Yes.
Yeah, I was muted from the microphone. Okay. Yeah, so I'm proposing this alpha for 134 release. And one of the things that, yeah, so I need some reviews on the cap. That is one. And second is like one of the things that we have been debating is like whether this should be owned by, right now it is in the SIG storage folder, like which should be the primary SIG owning this. That's the topic that came during the PRR reviews actually. And I'm from SIG storage, so and there is obviously overlap with storage, but I am like, that's up for debate. I'm not like it has to be under SIG storage. That is one thing. So what do folks think about that?
Yeah, so does this make any changes to any storage APIs or CSI implementation or anything like that? Or is it just simply reuse existing CSI standards in Cluster Autoscaler?
It uses existing standards in the cluster autoscaler. We are like, unless like something like happens during the implementation, we are not going to change anything in CSI for this. Like,
I see.
very, very unlikely. Yeah.
Then, I mean, I haven't looked at this, but that does sound like something that would be SIG Autoscaling.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on this? Has anyone had a chance to look at this?
Is this the one
Okay.
where we discussed it being very similar to DRA in the past?
Yeah.
And I have like read through it. So what is the current proposed approach? Are we going with the idea that was proposed initially, were any of the DRA related comments incorporated, or are we just doing the initial idea for alpha and repeating later?
Yeah, so I was thinking that we will do the alpha, which is like the MVP, and we will see, because there's a node readiness proposal that's also kind of, I'm waiting on it actually to see where it lands. I think that's design is like going around, but that's the one key piece that is missing, because when I spoke with Michael, he was not keen on adding. Like we had some, like the way GPU, we are waiting for GPU that may not work for everything, so we wanted something that works for other providers. And then I did take a look at the DRA, the changes that were made into cluster autoscaler to support DRA. And I think I am like if you read the proposal, I am hooking into the same changes that were made for DRA actually, like the proposal, like, so it's in a way it's close to it. And the key thing that is kind of like I haven't yet nailed down is like how to wait for the node to be ready. Like, okay, it has the CSI driver installed. That is one of the key things that is I'm still unsure about. But I want to not get blocked on it, like get a version MVP going, and then we can go from there. That's the idea.
Yes, like what I'm worried about is sort of us introducing some tech debt into cluster autoscaler code and then not following up on it. I definitely want to review this, but I know that are we bound by the cap deadline here, right? That is this
Right.
week.
It's the 20th, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am very limited on bandwidth, but I can give a review focused on like what you mentioned. So like MVP with minimal tech dirty changes that we
Yeah.
can then follow up on. So it would not be a full detailed review, I'm afraid, but I can help do a high level one, and then we can approve. I understand that you need an approval from SIG
Yeah.
Autoscaling, right?
Yeah. Six. Yeah.
Well, why don't we right now change the STIG? We should be able to do that in real time.
Jack, do you think you would have any time to sort of help with that review this week?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. So can someone remind me of the gesture? Is it as simple as this? I think it's as simple as that.
I think I'll have to probably update the kept.yaml or something like that. I think so, for moving it to and change the folder from SIG storage to SIG autoscaling. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, great.
I
I'm not sure if you're in India, it might be late for
no
you,
no
but
no no. I'm in US. I'm in Atlanta.
okay, great. So if you could do that today, that'd be really good because we've really only got a couple days. And yeah, to Kuba's point, I can review this. It doesn't seem controversial. I think I tend to agree that we want to put language. We want to make sure that there's no language in the CAP that suggests that we can implement this super gradually over the next several years. Let's try to get as much done as possible in 134.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone else to implement it, or are you going to do it? Do you need help?
I have another colleague of mine, Jonathan, who might be helping me, but right now, I think I'm okay. I don't need as such any help.
Okay.
I had another follow-up question that was brought during the PRR review actually about this. So one of the bits that I'm proposing of the part of same changes, like currently in built-in scheduler in Kubernetes, we do not check if a node has CSI driver installed when we schedule pods to node that requires CSI volume. We'll take a look at the pod. It requires so and so CSI volume, and we do not check if the CSI driver is really there on the node. And that was originally when I implemented actually that change in the scheduler, I'm the author of that code. I skipped that check because Michelle from my team suggested that if you do check that whether CSI driver, there's a way to check. There's a CSI node object that tells me what drivers are installed. If you do check, then you will break the cluster autoscaler because like cluster autoscaler, when it will spin a node, it will not be able to schedule those paths, like, and it will and when it creates a virtual node, it will not be able to schedule pods. So for those reasons, we are kind of like scheduling pods to node that may not have a CSI driver. So I want to fix that bug in scheduler, bug or whatever you call it, in scheduler as well. And one of the things that came during the PRR review was like, uh, should that be a separate cap, or could this be part of the same cap? I was of the opinion that it because I cannot fix the scheduler until the cluster autoscaler fixes are rolled out. So it's like I want
Isn't
to.
isn't the lack of that check basically the reason for the limits not being integrated?
Uh,
Like, aren't they essentially the same problem? Is what I mean. Like
so
I know what check
mm,
you're talking about, and I think like the proper solution to this would be, again, following the DRA example, to just plumb the CSI nodes from CA to scheduler via like the same as we did for resource claims for DRA, and then CA can properly model them. And I think it's sort of the, well, at least the way I read the cap, it seemed like the same problem to me.
yeah, it is similar. It just eh, yeah, it's just that like PRR reviewers like, should we like, but we still need to fix the scheduler, right? You agree with that, right? Like,
Yes, let me ask it another way. If we
yeah.
don't fix that part, if we don't touch scheduler, does
Mm.
that really address your problems with CA reasoning about the limits fully?
No, that leaves the still the uh, that leaves us still prone to some race conditions actually.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. So I think at minimum we should call them out. The race conditions that we are still bound by because of this part of scheduler code,
mm,
and some ideas for fixing it. If that doesn't it doesn't have to be like an alpha criteria, right? You can just
yeah,
mention it and then say that we might solve it for alpha, we might do it for beta, but it is part of the problem. I think they should belong in the same cap personally.
For 134, there's no
Interesting.
option because the deadline is passed to create a new cap. So
Yeah, I mean, it's I could just drop that part from this cap. Like right now, I just mentioned it. Like, okay, we want to. That's what I mentioned. We will not solve it in alpha. I don't intend to solve
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's better to have it there than to drop it personally.
Okay.
Were there any specific concerns brought up by the PR reviewers that would necessitate removing it?
Let me pull that change. Sorry.
do the changes to SIG scheduler, can they be justifiably classified as a bug?
It is. That's what I was thinking. It's like technically a bug that's been. Or
Yeah, it was like it's more of a hack to make CA scale the nodes with CSI thing is at all, because otherwise it, like, if there were checks in there and CA couldn't model CSI nodes, which was deemed to be very difficult back when we first like implemented it, uh, well, then it wouldn't scale at all. So it was like, how can we get it to work with the volumes quickly at all? And that was never revisited. That's at least my understanding.
Yeah, I see. And if I click on this,
yeah, so here's the comment. They're saying like that does this require two feature gates? And the if I enter, yeah, you could have if the feature gate for scheduler is different from the feature gate for autoscaler. I'm currently keeping the same name, feature flag. I think
I
I
think
called it.
so. I would keep them the same, I think.
Yeah, so that's where the concerns about the different KEP comes from.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm mostly concerned with the non-cluster autoscaler persona. What are the changes to scheduler? What kind of
Oh,
changes should that user expect?
yeah, that's the, if you click on that draft PR that is there, yeah, that's the changes to scheduler. Actually, it's a pretty small change. All it does is like, yeah, check if the CSI driver is present on the node, and
Yeah,
only,
it checks the auxiliary object that is like next to the node, not the node itself. That CA
yeah,
can't model yet.
yeah, and only for pods that require the given CSI driver, not for all stateless pods or a pod that is not using that CSI volume. Something.
What is the change from today? Like, I'm just wondering if there. I know that this is the current implementation is hacky, and we're calling this a bug fix. But from a
Currently, it's
stability
just like
point of view, folks, there might be folks indirectly relying on the current behaviors, and so if we change this, we might break some folks inadvertently.
we probably could, yeah. I mean, the current version, as far as I remember, is just return true. Like assume it will fit. If it doesn't, kubelet will reject it, right? Something like
Yeah,
that.
it's possible that we could break some people, but I mean, like, that's a decision. Yeah.
I think if we might. I think the practical difference would be instead of these pods getting rejected by kubelet and then having to re-enter the scheduling cycle, they will be now like properly rejected in the scheduling cycle. So I don't think it is breaking in a sense that if if the new code rejects a node, that would mean that without it, kubelet would reject the pod when it got scheduled on that node. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah, in
So,
that case, I don't think this is a backwards compatibility concern.
I was thinking that
Seems
if
like
somebody
yeah,
somehow depends on this, I don't know how. Why will they depend on like scheduling like pause this way?
yeah, I
But
mean, they
it is,
technically could, right? Like somebody could have automation monitoring kubelet events, right, for detecting when this happens. And now they need to do something else because it fails at a different stage. But I don't think this is like something that should block us from improving.
yeah.
Yeah, I would just outline that in this issue. Like,
Oh yeah.
as I
We
listen
need.
to this conversation, it seems to me that the autoscaling cap should be more or less scoped to cluster autoscaler, and there should be an explicit mention that the cap is more or less blocked on fixing this bug, and so we can call out that this bug has a PR. But I think
Okay.
if we're going to advocate that this is a bug, we just want to really describe it and justify that, especially
Okay.
speaking to like 'cause if it constitutes some behavioral change, we need to be able to defend that that's not going to break anybody. Does
So
that sound sensible to you, Kuba?
Yes, I think we should first of all call out any like in detail what would change as a result of this, and then we can make a decision whether that's acceptable breakage or not, and how we can guard against that. And at some point, we will need SIG scheduling, like an input OK on this as well. I'm not sure if we want to block the alpha on it if it's not planned to be implemented.
yeah.
But you might want to reach out to scheduling, or you have already maybe.
Yeah. So it comes down to whether we want this change inside scheduler behind a feature gate or not. Like, and I do need scheduling six
I
scheduling
think
too.
we would like just to be safe, it will change behavior in some way. It's not like it will change it from working to not working. It will change it from not working at step A to breaking at step B. Uh, but if somebody does depend on something like it, I think a feature gate would be
Okay.
good to have.
Yeah, and in that case, then it obviously has to all be incorporated into that same cap. And so I think the most important thing would be to get SIG scheduling buy-in for that. I think
Yeah.
from a cluster autoscaler perspective, it sounds fine. We have a successful pattern with DRA, but we've got basically 2 days left to get SIG scheduling to give the thumbs up to basically sharing a cap with SIG Autoscaling and also sharing a feature gate with SIG Autoscaling. I should say with Cluster
The
Autoscaler.
scheduler part is very small, thankfully. So this might be straightforward, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if it doesn't merges with the deadline, that's okay. I just got to see, right? That's all. Cool.
Okay,
All right. So
great.
I will follow up with SIG scheduler, SIG scheduling someone, and I'll change the SIG to SIG autoscaling for the cap, and we'll go from there.
Yeah,
All
You'll
I'll
need
try
to
to
add,
do
yeah, once you get SIG scheduling, make sure to add both SIGs in there.
Okay, awesome.
I'll try
Because
to
the
do a
feature
review
gate here, it
tomorrow.
has to correlate with this the cap. Sorry to keep interrupting you, Kuba.
No.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys. Folks.
All right. Okay, that is not the end of our agenda because folks have added some more agenda items. So I'm going to click through to here and allow J2, if you're online, I'll go ahead and give you the floor to explain.
Yeah, so I've been working on this HPA support for pod level resource specifications. So now users will be able to define CPU and memory resources not only at per container level, but also per pod level. So to adapt HPA to work with that, so it's pretty straightforward for resource type metrics because HPA does the aggregation of all containers to get the whole like pod request. But HPA also supports container resource metrics to autoscale based on the utilization of a specific container. So for that case, it's a bit trickier because a user can define your resources at a container level and also pod level. And the scheduler will consider the pod level resources, will give priority for pod level resources when doing scheduling decisions. So I was talking to Dixie that she's been working on the SIG node on the cap for the beta for the pod level resource specification. And she said that she still thinks that it makes sense to only use HPA based on the container level resources for the container resource metrics, even in the cases when the workload has declared both pod level and container level resources. So this is just an FYI, and I'm just asking if somebody is opposed to this idea.
This
So
sounds
the
reasonable.
idea is that the order of precedence will be container first and then pod?
Oh, was that, sorry?
I think it's like, I think the idea is that HPA would not be actuating the pod level resources, right?
Yes, if you define your HPA on container resource metric type.
It only actuates the container requests and not the shared pod level requests, right?
Right.
I think that's reasonable, given that actuating the shared ones will also affect the other containers.
Yeah, unless you configure your HPA to actuate at pod level.
So you can
Are we
configure it
talking about?
specifically. Yep. No, go on.
Are we talking only when the pod and the container level have been declared on the same pod spec?
Yeah,
or are we
so
just talking generally?
So generally, so if you configure your HPA to autoscale based on container utilization metrics, and you only define, for example, pod level resources, we wouldn't be able to autoscale because we can't calculate utilization. So in this case, we would return an error, which is the behavior today as well. If you don't have request set for your container, we would get an error in your HPA. And if you have both set, we would use the container level resources instead of pod level.
Basically, it is HPA ignoring the pod level ones? Or
Yes,
when...
for container level resource metrics. And for pod level, it would use the pod level metrics.
Do we have Adrian? I think that this has now gone out of my HPA expertise. I think we might not have
Yeah,
the
I should
right.
probably write something here in this in the issue and discuss with more folks. Yeah, sounds good.
This is very good to be brought up. It's just that I don't think we have any of the HPA soon-to-be experts on the call.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good. Well, thank you.
We can revisit it next week, right?
Yeah, had the cap already been approved?
Yes, I think so. At least I have adapted CA code to it, so I think it's already in beta even.
Oh, 2021. I see. What's this? Okay, great.
Hey, I think it's just like HPA reacting to this cap, not like.
Yes, right.
Okay. All right, cool. I know we're a little bit over, but let's see if we can. Julie 4N, are you here? Is this something we can talk about quickly? I do feel like we're in the last week of CAP, so let's take all these.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah. First of all, I introduce myself. I'm Julian from the GK team. I haven't been participating in this group, so nice to meet you all. Yeah, this is apologies. I added it kind of halfway through the meeting. So this is we have some interest in supporting this CAP for introducing support for HPA to scale to 0 and from 0. So I've been trying to catch up on the discussion. There seems to be a lot of history on this, an alpha feature, and so yeah, mostly trying to get some guidance on how to move this forward. I saw that Adrian was involved. I don't know if Adrian is in this meeting, but
so this is not trying to target the current cap cycle, I take it? Like
no.
you're still in a very early stage of picking this up.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay.
yeah. So as far as I understand, the thing that's being contentious is the API, right? How we want to expose the API. There was a proposal for adding a field, an explicit Boolean field to support scaling to 0, and there was some feedback of maybe that's not needed. Yeah. So I guess just want to say like we're very likely going to be working on this. We want to support this and just trying to find partnership and guidance on the next steps.
Great. I think it's the same answers for the previous point. We are missing some key people, but we should be able to help you in some other week when they are here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, Julian. I think so. The CAP deadline for 134 is this week, so I would expect folks are going to be heads down on those CAPs. But yeah, as soon as next week, I think loop in Adrian and Marco and other folks working on HPA and get some thoughts, and we can shoot for 135.
That would be awesome. Yeah, if we can get it 135. Thank you.
Was it one more question maybe? Was it ever in alpha and now we are trying to move it to beta, or did it just never make it out of the proposal stage?
So my understanding from looking at the feedback that the CAP got is that it needs some work on the proposal API and the semantics.
This is the PR. Yeah, okay. So it just never got submitted. I see.
So
yeah, then yeah, definitely like 135 alpha seems reasonable if we pick up the work soon.
Pretty amazing working on such a small CAP number that was created in 2020.
Yeah.
In the last meeting, we've been talking about if this is actually needed. We said we can ask some people, right? If I remember correctly. So did we do such thing, or were we okay with this going forward, and we want to get this feature into the core functionality of the HPA?
Do you remember what questions we wanted to get answered?
this gap was opened in 2020, I think, when CADA wasn't really widely used. So this was a really big feature, when you didn't have something else. But now, I'm just saying, before we plan to push some code into the Kubernetes, maybe we need to check if this is something people needed. We were
Yeah,
saying that we were.
I think we're exactly at this stage, right, Julian? Yeah.
Yeah, we see some interest from GKE, and like personally, of course, like this is my personal opinion, but it sounds like a reasonable extension. I don't have all the context of like HPA. Like,
Yeah, like we'll need to find all of the blocking bits from way ago and try to revisit them now before we
Because pay attention, this added more logic, because now when you want to suspend the HPA, you do it some dirty hack on it, and when you specify scale to 0, you wouldn't have this hack anymore. So
right,
just
that's the
pay
part that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, these are exactly the questions and problems we need to figure out in order to get it to alpha.
Yeah, but there are a few proposals on how to solve this. It doesn't look complicated, right? But it's more a matter of getting everybody to approve on a solution. It's more like
I think
being the cat kind of problem.
if it just comes down to like pushing reviews and making sure it doesn't get stuck, I think we as the SIG leadership can definitely help with that, and it should be easier than in the previous cycles now that we have more bandwidth.
Yeah, sounds good. I think we have a proposal for this kind of backward compatibility support, like I'll say like bad interaction with deployments with replicas equals 0. But yeah, I would like to sync. Maybe I need to sync with Adrian and the person who owns this cap to see how we move forward. If we work together, or we just send a new one, or we take ownership.
Yep, sounds like great next steps.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Julian. Welcome. All right, did anybody else file any new KEP agenda items in the last few minutes? No, looks like we're okay. Okay, so yeah, that's definitely going to be the focus for this week. I'm going to make a couple of quick call outs. I'm doing my first round of releasing Cluster Autoscaler 133 and seem to be stuck on some GCR thing. So it just might be a SIG Autoscaling credential that I need to pick up from Guy or Kuba. So I'll work offline. Stay tuned for that. We basically have the release branch ready to go. So if you're super intrepid and you want to test it out, you can build from there manually and put it on your clusters. But otherwise, we should expect to have that out in the next few days. And then one more thing, thanks everybody for staying on late. The Carpenter project, I don't have a link handy right here because I've got a couple computers, but we are going to accelerate the momentum of DRA and Carpenter. So if you're interested in that at all, let me know or reach out on Slack. But we're going to be inspired by Kuba's implementation in Cluster Autoscaler. So it's going to be a lot different and more complicated in Carpenter, but it should be a lot of fun as well. So if folks want to get involved there, that process is going to begin. The issue's been there for a while, but we've got some critical mass doing some work on that.
So you're saying we're improving Kuba's design by making it more complicated in Carpenter?
We don't have
think
a
it's
choice
more
not to make it
the-
more complicated.
Yeah,
I'm
the
just
lack of
being smart.
integration with scheduler will be a problem, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Carpenter's a provisioner as well. So think of it's not that you can set a complicated topology in your cluster and then enable Cluster Autoscaler to take advantage of it, but you're actually creating the topology in real time.
Right. Yeah, it's an auto provisioner, not an auto scaler. Right?
Yeah, like we have similar challenges with, we have a very simple idea of integrating that with our version of auto provisioner and app. Yeah,
Yeah,
like we can
John and Bo gave a talk on that at KubeCon Japan yesterday, or today actually. Yesterday for us, we're in the West, but today on the calendar. Yeah.
Yeah. Like my intuition is that most of the complexity can be hidden behind the interface on Notebook or CCC. But yeah, we are over time. We can definitely discuss this some other time.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks. Later.